A lot of people would have you believe that right now we're living through a crisis of masculinity. And yeah, I'm not buying it. I think there are a lot of men in trouble and going down a dark, lonely path. But I don't think that's a new phenomenon. That's my contention with the think pieces that are suggesting people like old mate JP, Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, Joe Rogan, Huberman, fucking Jocko, all those clowns. They're all surrogate father figures for all these lost and lonely dudes on the internet. And yeah, there's this like sinister underbelly where men don't know where to turn, so they're turning to these like internet daddies. And the reason I don't buy into it is that I feel like this shit was always happening with men. I go back to the 90s when I was just a lad. I looked at my father and all the fathers of the kids I went to school with, and they were kind of lonely, uh, somewhat repressed dudes who you couldn't just help you couldn't help but hear fucking old Brucey Springsteen in the background whenever you hung around around with them. Glory days. They were all kind of thinking about their younger years when things were better, man. Life was simpler and I could be more me. Now I'm stuck in the suburbs with the kids and the wife and the mortgage and the job. All the things that weigh you down, man. So there was that same sense of alienation and discontent a generation back. And then I think even a generation back before that, you see the photos of the old the boomer boys and the off to war and all that shit. I guess it was their folks. Um the parents of the boomers off to war and having the fucking time of their life, killing some Nazis in Europe, taking names, doing untold things to random villages in Southeast Asia, going on a fucking no holds bar Kontiki tour essentially with assault rifles and a no questions asked policy when it came to egregious behavior. So they're having a fucking great time on a fuck tour where they get to kill some randoms, and then they get home and the same shit happens. Plus, mix in a bit of PTSD. They get to live like a pirate. They got to live like a pirate for a short period, and then all the fun ends, and then it just becomes about nesting and taking care of the next generation. So could you blame a brother for potentially being a little bit down in the dumps when youth is wasted on the young? That whole thing when it was happening, they were probably enjoying themselves, but they weren't necessarily thinking these could be the best days of our lives, because they pretty much are in terms of like high highs and low lows. Those are the formative years and experiences. So I guess my contention that I feel like there's always going to be a crisis of masculinity because the masculine part of a man doesn't want to be the uh the responsible provider who has to watch his P's and Q's. Is that an expression? You know, when you want to say something, you're like, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I don't know what it fucking means, but I'm going to go with it. A man who has to watch his P's and Q's around the dinner table because you don't want your 4-year-old saying fucking cunt at preschool, making you look like a degen. Yeah, and you just have to kind of like curve all the kind of sharp edges of your personality off because you want to be a provider. You want to take care of people. And I guess you could call that masculine in a sense, to be like the breadwinner and the provider. But I guess I just associate masculinity with testosterone and risk taking and being a fucking pirate. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depends how you want to look at it, most of us men feel a strong urge to pair bond with women. And you see it all the time. Like, I think the most interesting examples are, I reckon 98, 99% of men can't really be included in this conversation because most of us aren't extremely attractive or rich or a celebrity. So you're not getting like a ton of women thrown at you. So when you find a good one, which you gel with, I think there's a lot of forces pushing you to kind of lock it down and make it official. There's a part of you saying, yeah, this is right for me. This is like the whole Richard Dawkins would be like, it's your genes. Your genes are trying to memify themselves and get to live another generation. That seems to be what's happening, right? You find like a compatible woman and you feel like a strong urge to settle down. You go, yeah, you know what? I might have to kiss goodbye to my fun days, but so be it. That's it. I'm gonna do it because it's the right move for me. So that's the most of us. But then there's like the random 2% of people out there. And I'll take like, for example, Shane Warne, champion Australian cricketer, who was like a playboy, fucked everything that moved while he was a cricketer and like had a tumultuous marriage. His marriage ended. And then he was dating around. He was dating Liz Hurley, and their relationship failed. And then like in his later years before he died, they were asking him like, are you going to settle down with someone again? He goes, yeah, you know what? I would like to, but it's difficult because when I date someone who's younger than me, we might be okay initially, but then eventually they start talking about marriage and kids. And he goes, I love my kids, but I've been there, done that. And I don't want to do that again. And so I just have to find someone new. So, in a sense, you could say he was living the dream. But I guess a lot of people look at that as lonely, right? As like, oh, poor Shane Warne. He's never going to find someone. Because I think that's the difference, right? Is that a woman can be wild and young and carefree, but eventually most of them seem to grow out of that. This is the most generalizations I've made in a single episode. But it's kind of like that's when it comes back to that fucking 90s bullshit of like men are from Mars, women are from Venus. That's the nuts and bolts of it. Yet we are fucking drawn to one another because Richard Dawkins seems to have correctly assessed that we've got these little genes that want to memify themselves within us. And so we're like, well, you're pretty much promising the opposite of what I actually want, but yet I'm drawn to you because it seems like this is the best way to raise the fucking children's. So we gotta put two and two together and make 2.4 kids and live in a cul-de-sac. So let's get it on, baby. Put on some Barry White and let's get this party started. So this got a little off track, but essentially, I don't think there's a crisis of masculinity. I think it's a crisis of the fact that, yeah, men and women are very different, yet we're drawn to one another. We decide to cohabitate and pair bond for long periods of time. And the only difference between now, this is what I was getting to. I probably shouldn't have fucking left this till last, but the reason people are thinking it's a masculinity crisis is that now you can bleat about how you miss being a pirate and you're sick of being under the thumb of the misso and having to not drop F-bombs around your 4-year-old. You can bleat about that anonymously on the internet. And then there will be guys out there who will create content to cater to that. And then it kind of snowballs from there. So for sure, some young fellas are probably like going way off the deep end because there's just more shit for them to dive into compared to when I was a lad. But as in terms of a crisis of masculinity, no, it's like a crisis of the sexes, or just the fact that men are, the crisis of masculinity is summed up pretty simply in that men and women are different. Mic drop. That's it. That's the crisis. Men have to come to terms with the fact that eventually they will siphon themselves off. Most of us will siphon ourselves off with a woman and act nice because you want to raise a good kid. That's this thing that's within us. And so all the crazy shit that you do when you're younger, which is fun at the time, you're like, yeah, well, was that the real me? Or is the real me the responsible guy later? Because the wild man's still within me. And I think I want to bring him out every so often, but I'm scared to. So maybe that's the real crisis. Men don't know who we are. Are we pirates, or are we the soft, cuddly teddy bears, the beta males who want to be the responsible provider guys? But yeah, there's a bit of pirate in all of us, isn't there? All right. Let me know what you think. Catch you on the next one. Bye.